we begin on Samoa. George on the Lucio, that's a rare sighting. Gummy Sharks in red. Rat Milkers in blue. Like last scream. See what they're running out. They're running out on a Doomfist. Hopefully that's just a lull pick. Haven't seen Doomfist in a hot second. I know Satoru said he did play Doomfist, so we will see what's going on. George on the Lucio. He's running the Poison Dart Frog. You don't see George on the Lucio. Normally he's on this Kiriko here, but let's see what he can pull off. Very interesting. Junkrat is said to be in the chat. Not the case. Let's go find something interesting while these guys yap. Pretty sure there's a crab somewhere around here. I'm pretty sure there's a crab here. I play on high enough sensitivity to find the crabs. Oh, here they come out. Never mind. We're adding 60 seconds to the timer. This is the best thing to do right now. Let's go find the crabs. Rat Milko, set everyone to ready. And then immediately unset it. Let's go. Fun fact, there's a health pack here. I don't think I've ever played in this spot particularly. I didn't know this was that thing right here. And like, why the hell's mega health pack right next to your spawn? That's interesting. Let's go see if there's birds or something. Well, there's your random map geography here. This is the thing. Can't say I've ever, like, used this area in particular. Here we go. The match is about to start. Rat Milkers versus Gummy Sharks. This is scrim number 2 for Rat Milkers. Let's see how they go. Doomfist out first. Let's go check on him and see what he's going to set up. Setting out the bridge. It's going to be a Hazard on the other side. Basically, Hazard, Brig, Juno, Ash, Genji for Gummy Sharks. Only thing they're changing up for Rat Milkers is the Ash for the Sojourn and their support line of George on Lucio and Kiriko. Engage already going out. Doomfist missed his punch. Rat Milkers on the back foot. Looking low. George booping. Genji gets caught out going first. I normally want the Doomfist popping out first. Lucio down. They're down 2. Now down 1. Rat Milkers stabilizing the point. Gummy Sharks already with 10% on the board. We're going to be looking at the Genji to build his ult this fight. On the side of Rat Milkers, looking for the Brig, not the Brig, the Kiri to build theirs. They're at both 50% right now, band for band. Ash gets some good dynamite in. Doomfist with the punch engage. They're stacked as 4 right now, basically conga line. Jumps in, doesn't get the Ash. Wanted to close that distance. No one on pressuring point. 3 on it. If you Doomfist super low, might be going down. Doesn't go down. Stabilizes. Rat Milker slipped the point. 5% on the board. George gets caught out by the Genji and Ash. Doomfist getting pushed into a corner. That's not where you want to be on Doomfist. You want to be free and open. Super low. Got to stabilize on the point. However, a lot of damage being taken out. Chris Wispy about to dive to burn. She dies to burn. That's tragic. Rat Milkers on the back foot right now. Stabilizing and falling back. Alright, on the side of Rat Milkers, we have a Kasune coming up. Maybe a Blade in OC if you can build it up fast enough. However, on the opposite side for Gummy Sharks, they would love to go first with the Genji Blade. That would set them up a pretty good advantage. They do have Rain to help it with, and Brig ult to stabilize. So, let's see what ults are going to come out first. Doomfist punches in, gets 2. Super low on the Juno. Someone needs to capitalize. They get there too. Brig pops it late, probably hoping to stabilize it. However, gets 1. There's 2 down for it. Basically, even Rat Milkers going super low on top of that. Golden opportunity might have been just wasted here. Good thing only one ult was popped in that fight, and that was the Brig on the side of Gummy Sharks to stabilize. That was a lot better than I thought it was going to be, and stabilized perfectly when they needed it. Gummy Sharks up now. This is going to be a big ult fight from both teams, seeing who can... George! Blade's first. Blade out to the Genji. Gets one. Gets the Ashe. Bob, however, is already out. I don't know where Bob went. Only 2 ults for Rat Milkers. Here comes the Rain. Doesn't see that George is caught out. Blade's out. You would have loved to see that beat held for that ult. That ult was coming out, and the fact that they rushed beat first. Utterly tragic. You don't want to see that. Holding that for at least the Rain would probably be beneficial. Gummy Sharks get the flip. Doomfist looking to stall. Gets one. However, ends up... Here comes George coming down with the middle. OC coming out. They got 2. Can I get any more? All that's left is the Lucio Genji. Are they going to touch? That's pretty predictable. They gets 1. Genji's the only one to touch, and that's going to be the final round going to... The first round going to Gummy Sharks. Coconuts on point. Personally, I think the ult management and usage there was kind of questionable by Rat Milkers. Let's see if they can solve that. Solve the usage a little bit better. I don't love the beat going first. I think the beat should have been held for the Blade. Going on to Volcano. Beautiful map. Rat Milkers looking like they're changing up their comp. They're going to be a Winston Curie in place of the Doomfist and Lucio. Probably more comfort picks for George. I don't know about Satoru. I do know George not as experienced on Lucio. On the side of Gummy Sharks, however, not changing their comp from what I've seen, but there is a minute left, and these guys can add time for as long as they so help me want. Oh, they're switching out to an Ana. They're switching the Brig to the Lucio. Never mind, they're just switching comps. It is a double speed on the side of Rat Milkers. Let's see if this speed gives them a little more oomph to the battle. Oh, and George goes back to the Brig. So not double speed. I have lied to you again. Too many swamps. Rat Milkers looking to take the high point to engage. Not seeing too much jump on. We have a Genji right here. Hazard with the first slash. Just poking out. This mid-fight could go along. Neutral, very good. Sojourn doing some poke damage from the side. Hazard now takes high ground. Winston on the point. Genji's caught out in the middle of it. Not where you want to be. Ideally, it gets killed by the Juno. Monkey jumps into zone at the back line. However, it's going to get punished. With 4 looking at him. There's not much room he can survive. George goes down. Last to go down is probably the Juno. Actually, Wispy goes down by a Sojourn headshot. I wasn't even looking at that. Genji looking to take some more space here. Looking to create some distractions in the front line. Let's go to the Winston's POV to see what type of setup they're going to do. It looks like they're going to go main again. However, Genji is coming off the Blade. They need to be tracking that. OC is actually built super fast. 66%. Winston going down low. Wall out by the Hazard. Back in the neutral fight. So far, the neutral fight has been dominated by Gummy Sharks. Keeps being that way. Genji dies first. Winston going low. They need to figure out a target. Focus on. Because right now it looks kind of lost. Curie has to use a TP. That's a big jump target right now. Genji going low. Genji dies by the Winston. Brig pops rally to stabilize. Probably not as needed as they think. Rain's out. OC's out. 3 ults out. Tracer misses a pulse. I wasn't even tracking that. George coming in with a beat. Coming ready. Throws the beat out. I, again, don't love that. Because there is a Genji on the other side. I don't know what the call is for that to engage fast. Monkey up. Not even flipped the point yet, so that score keeps ticking in the favor of Gummy Sharks. 80% on the board. This could be their last fight, and they can open things up and secure this win with the Genji Blade and Juno's Orbital. It looks pretty much cut and dry. The Winston and or Genji needs to go crazy in their stabilizations. Let's just look at the Genji. That's a Lucio. We don't need to be looking at that. Blade's out. Genji has Blade. Pops it. Gets shut down by the OC. Not even the OC, just a regular rail. Rush does nothing. They can pretty much cap things up with an orbital here, and it should be Gummy Sharks map. Popping it probably just to kill Wispy faster. Wispy doesn't even touch, actually. My bad. Second map, going to Gummy Sharks. Beautiful sight to see. I think, again, on the side of Rat Milkers, alts have been looking questionable. I'm not in love with the Lucio throwing his beat out first, especially if they were alt tracking, especially against that Genji Blade. We know it's out there. I think a bit more conservativeness with the beat. Trusting your Kiriko to stabilize the fight a little more. It's kind of looked like they've dived into one target, and after that, pretty much not. If they don't get a target, it's just a dogfight, a brawl almost. They're really unfocused on which target they want to jump on. So, will they figure it out in this third map of Samoa? City Center. If they roll out on a hog, that will be a very interesting pick. Could be just a troll pick, because right now, from what I believe, Satro does like his dive comp, which is weird, because if I'm mistaken, he is from the EMEA region, and they're known historically to being kind of dog water at dive. But let us see. Switching over to the cast on the part of Rat Milkers. It looks like on a Briggs setup here, so it might just be he switches off the hog and goes to the Winston. On the side of Gummy Sharks, keeping the same composition. It's been working wonderfully for them. Not too much to talk about on that side. They've just been playing their fights well, keeping themselves alive, finding the crucial picks in that neutral. Samoa, very beautiful map. Raza has started spectating. Rare hit scan moment. He is the hit scan for Remember Me. Probably one of your more crucial pieces, if I do have to say so. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, they are running out on the hog. That's a very interesting pick. Maybe looking to deny those dives, but hog, that's a lot of resources you have to go into. I don't think the backline has those resources, but I could be wrong. Let's check out, not the enemy Genji, I don't know why. Let's check out the hog gameplay. Hog, you're gonna have to anchor point. You're not gonna be able to move around as much as you want. Going low. Hazard gets pulled in, however, basically can just survive that by holding his shift. Anti onto the Genji. Nothing can follow up on that. Again, hooks Hazard. I would love to see him try to go for one of these squishier hooks in the Hazard. Doesn't get the second hook. Dives onto the backline shorts. Genji, again, being the first to pick out. I don't know where that fight was going on, but that is tragic. It looks like the center point. Probably just focused. This Hazard is really looking to jump on the brig. However, George, situational awareness, understands that he can kind of live through that. Genji back. 10% on the board for Gummy Sharks from another crucial first pick. Let's check out the Genji, as he has had some trouble staying alive in the first fights. Oh, beautiful anti, beautiful hook, and beautiful kill onto the enemy Hazard. That sets him up for good. George dies in the background to a Genji. Let's see if they can cut this Genji off. Looks like he's almost going to get Wispy. However, the cleanup is good. Gummy Sharks fall back. Point's going to flip over to Rat Milkers. 35-0 on the point. Let's see how they play this with 2-3 all. No, all 4 ult. George not quite at it. However, they have the Ana cast. Hog ult. That's coming up on the board. I do not know what you're going to use the Ana ult for. Maybe just survivability on the cast. On the side of Gummy Sharks, they're going to have the Genji looking to set up. George, however, catches the Sojourn, who has the OC ready. Hazard with Rain. Gets another pick onto gets a pick on the Genji. That's what you want to see. That's going to basically shut down this attack, probably just guaranteeing them the point. They throw it. George doesn't look up. That's embarrassing. OC from the far ground, high ground out. Gets shut down by the Brig, overextending there. I do not love that from Gummy Sharks. You know, I would have held on for a little longer. Hogs in there fighting. George comes down here to clean up the Genji. In my opinion, I think Gummy Sharks kind of rushed that ult engage. Got punished for it. Now we're switching a horse Lucio on the side of Gummy Sharks. Double speed onto the horse, looking to punish the Hog indefinitely, but if you're a horse and go golden from the Hog without spin, it is almost a death sentence. Let's see how the Hog uses this ult. Gets the pull. Juno's ult comes in. He can basically burn the horse for free. No, he has Spear. They shut down the blade beautifully. I wish I was seeing that correctly. I wouldn't have pulled in there personally. Wispy killing the Lucio. It's looking like a pretty good fight for Rat Milkers. If they can get these final kills, it's basically over. And I think that might be match point. Rat Milkers figuring it out on the last map, going 1-2. Alright, looks like I'm not going to be playing Watch Point Gibraltar. Thank God. I don't want to play Watch Point Gibraltar. Not in my map. A standard dive comp here. Raza's on the Brig. What am I seeing? Are we just swapping and remembering me, boys, for the lulz of it? He is on the Brigitte. Have never seen a Raza Brigitte. What skin is he even rocking? He's rocking the OWCS skin. A rare sight indeed. We could have had Sam. We could have had anybody on it. Hit scan Raza on the Brig. That's a rare treat for you guys. Welcome to the stream. Raza Brig. That's something I don't think I'd ever see. Most likely going to be playing a standard dive comp. Waiting to see the DPS choice from Rat Milkers. They're not going to add time? Okay, they're adding time. Genji comes out. One thing I wanted to say about the Genji is, unfortunately, he just kept getting picked on the first fight. Almost basically in the neutral. A very tragic start, if I do have to say so myself. You want your Genji to be able to dive with your Winston. If he's dead before the dive can even come out, kind of blunts the spear. On the side of Gummy Sharks, let's take a look at their comp. A Sim Ana, Widow, Brig, Monkey. So with the Sim, you're most likely not going to see it throughout the rest of the game. What I'm thinking is they're going to teleport their Brig Ana into a more advantageous spot right here. And then they're probably going to switch to a Genji or something that can reach this high ground. The reason you want to teleport this is just gives you better angles for the longer dive. Come over here, get some peeks in, go over here. Winston's probably going to look to dive this. Let's see if that goes as planned. Teleporter out. Teleports to that. Sim's out. Going to an Echo. Widow takes the first shot. So it's a Soldier versus Winston.
Yo.
Soldier versus Winston. So the Soldier, you're going to look to build on the Winston. However, there is that one-shot lethality towards the Widowmaker, putting pressure on the Monkey. They're basically stacked 4 deep in this room. Nade comes out. Nade goes in. Nade coming out. Genji, I don't know what is going on there. She's 1 health. He can't go in. Gets healed up. That was almost close. Genji almost dying first again. However, they're not checking point. Point is basically at the end. Who's going to call this? Eventually, the Genji comes. However, that builds a lot of free space for the Widow. Wispy gets the Echo, but he's already gotten so much space for this team. Winston goes into the dive, gets the whip shot out. Still in a really good position. And Gummy Sharks Winston looking to clear this room for their Ana Brig. This would be a great place for them to set up. Could get this high ground after this. However, they are Rat Milker's not looking to give this up, looking to pressure this Winston out. Widow with a shot across the map. This Winston fight has been going on longer than most of my marriages, which has been 0, so don't know how that is. They finally get down. Anti-nade out. Winston's still fighting Winston. However, everyone's low. Reset on their fuck up. Rivals are finally out. Looking to fight the Winstons again. I don't know what the monkeys are doing. They're fighting each other. Genji, however, gets taken out by the...
Girls predicting failed marriages.
Alright, everyone's stabilized again. Brig coming in early with the ult. Super low on the side of Rat Milkers. However, everyone survives. Raza pops his ult. Winston's dead. Having the tank dead is going to blunt your offensive capability. Winston looking out. Space is being taken here. 3 ults on the side of Rat Milkers. The Genji Blade, the Monkey, and the OC. However, they're not going to use it. They're not going to go for that retouch. That retouch not going to happen. I think they should have with the Monkey engaged. That was very much a winnable fight. Genji could have built up Blade. So far, there's been 0 pressure on this Widowmaker. Normally, Widowmakers can't stand here in the open without getting some type of punishment. However, Raza gying first to the Monkey. I wasn't paying attention to that. Another Monkey's out in the field, pushing the Sojourn out, getting another kill on that. Primal's out, looking to kill the Monkey. These monkeys continuously hitting each other. Not really what you want to see the Monkey doing. You want to see the Monkey diving the back line. So much space has been given up because of the delays in either like dyings or just inopportune picks on the side of Rat Milkers. Let's see what comes up. Monkey on the side of Gummy Shark can build this Nano really, Primal really fast. However, we're gonna go on the side of the Genji. Let's see how he uses this blade. Never mind, we're gonna go see on the Brig because for some. Here it comes. Gets nothing. That is, I think, his 3rd blade that's been blunted by the shield of Gummy Sharks. So far, not going his way. OC is the only ult that could really turn this tide of the fight. However, I'm pretty sure Gummy Sharks knows as the dive looked pretty much on top of them. Genji died again first. This is tragic. I don't know if it's a lack of communication with the heals or the dive. Good rally to stabilize the fight. They need to win a fight here. However, Wispy goes down, still holding the OC. Raza needs to survive this with her Ana talking to hit heals. Beautiful nade onto the Monkey. They need to look at the Monkey. However, they get the Echo. Monkey's still up. Genji dies again. You don't want to see that. Here comes Sojourn. Rat Milker staying alive in this very well. Rally comes in. She is deep. OC in. Monkey gets the Widow. It's about the first time I think the Monkey pressured it out. Ooh, this looks like it could... The OC doesn't look like it was enough for it. Sam commenting it might be it. However, it is just the Monkey. Gets the Genji again. It's 2 on 2. Oh, but the Monkey has a Primal. This saves Rat Milker's opportunity in this. I would not have personally used the Echo copy there. I think it's going to stall your death out. This is going to be tragic. As Sam mentioned, clutched it up. Echo dies super early.
I would like our Ana to like eventually rotate high. She's been playing low this whole time.
I could agree more. That Ana isn't a really easy...
Like, this is the rotation that I would have, like,
they needed to calm that between each other. Widow's finally getting some pressure. She can't shoot for free, but honestly have not been impressed by Scorch's Widow. Not too many opening picks.
Is exactly where I'd be playing right now.
Ana's still playing on the low ground. They're basically conga lining here. There's 4 or 5 people basically taking the same angle. This opens the opportunity for the Widow to take a sneaky shot. Does, but again, a Widow been kind of cold this one. Nano comes out. Nano comes out for the Raza, keeping the backlines alive. Primal comes out. Wasn't getting low. However, they don't even touch. It's a C9. That's crazy. They were up 2 and they C9. Not enough communication there. Let's ask Sam if he wants to co-commentate. Hey Sam, what is up? Do you want to co-commentate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm listening to your stream.
Yeah, I kind of figured, so I had to ask, but I was like middle of it. So, welcome, co-commentator Sam or Sir Gerbing. So Sam, you were talking about the honest positioning there. Didn't really matter at the end. However, you said you would like to see the repositioning. Well,
yeah, I would like. You just want to like make the jump for the monkey as long as possible. Like playing low just lets him walk and then jump. Where like if you're playing high, you can poke him on his way as he walks. If like because he has 2 options, right? When he's coming up around that corner, he can either make the long jump and not hit with the slam damage, or he can walk, take some poke, and then try to get the slam. Either way, like he has to make a bad choice, right? It's where like I get to poke him, get him like a quarter of the way down, and then like just stabilize with my brig as we kite.
Another thing I want to commentate on is, I don't know if you were in the comms or not, what was the idea behind the Sojourn v Widow matchup there?
They were talking about it. I think Wispy wanted to play the Widow. I'm not sure why he didn't. They just, I don't know. He just seemed personally pretty indecisive about what he wanted to play, and kind of just let his team dictate his choice.
Yeah, personally, I would have loved to see the Widow v Widow, especially since Scorch was a bit cold there.
Yeah.
Not really getting much, I don't think at all.
Yeah, Mankumu was also struggling with his timing, it seemed like. It seemed like he was either going too late or too early.
Absolutely, that's been a common occurrence there. He's either going too late or too early, and he's been getting caught out first in many of these fights.
It's too early more often than not.
Hold on, I'm gonna mute
I'm getting word from Raza that he's nervous about this.
I actually wanted to comment on that. What was the idea going through your head? Cooking Raza on Brig. We don't ever see that.
I'm just giving different people looks on the main support. It's a fill spot, so I just kind of want to see how they can adapt. Regardless who's there, right? Like Grim is the primary talker when he was playing, at least when he was playing last time. So it's definitely, you can see like the gaps in their communication when he's not here. It seems like Satoru is the main one picking it up, and then Shay is usually like responder, right? Call and response. She's usually like confirming things and stuff like that. DPS still mostly quiet, and then my main supports have just kind of like between Raza and George, just kind of like let them yap and otherwise just kind of do their job.
Very nice.
At least when I was in there.
Do you think there's a notable absence with Grim out of the lineup right now?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a comm gap.
Okay, well, let's get prepared for this fight. Let's see what they come out on. No sim TP to the right side. Widow takes a shot already, just into the Winston's fat body. Monkey misses his bubble on the bridge. That could be tragic there.
Yeah, it's not great.
Wispy on the Widow pick. Ooh, gets stiffed by Scorch. That's the first time we've seen that.
They're running the frontline trade, though.
They are. They're getting plenty of space.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to
come... They can force this Echo out. They have some good space here.
Oh, this Echo is free. Ooh!
Yeah. Just a little slow to recognize, I guess.
Absolutely. Wanted to comment on the Echo actually pushing the cart all the way to almost the second point. What was the comms in there? That was basically free space.
Yeah. They just never saw it, to be honest. I think they were more concerned with the front line fight and just kind of let that go.
All right, as we go into
I like what they're doing here with the Tracer on point here and just kind of taking this front line.
That's very smart. But as we were talking about, they're conga lining again. Yeah, everyone taking the same angle. And you'd hope...
I think we need Quispy to be more creative.
Yeah, or
especially on the Widow.
since we do have Raza in there, he's also a hit scan player. If I remember me, he could also be calling like, "Hey, let's take a better angle."
Mm.
But this monkey fight goes on forever. As I said, longer than my supposed first marriage.
Yeah, I think like this frontline trade really comes down to like our Widow just taking taking an angle to try to do something to their backline. Because really, what we're doing here is stalling. But like, what are we doing with that time? You know, like right here. Like I like what Crispy's doing here. He just popped an angle down low. I would like him to try to keep doing more stuff like that. Just stay creative
Instead of just pumping
I
damage
think like
into it.
Widow. Yeah, I think playing creative on like with Widow specifically really requires you to like be creative with your angles.
Couldn't
Not
agree
to get
more.
zomed out.
Also, really bad that the Winston had Primal there. Basically, free kills.
Yeah.
But that's going to happen when 4 people are stacked up. That Winston's going to build ult. I think, if it's my opinion, the Winston on the Rat Milker side should be trying to go for this Widow, trying to build some space, let the backline survive.
I think specifically, like this initial high ground where their brig was, I think just like jumping there to claim this space opens up the rest of the map in the backline.
Nano on the Winston. Let's see if he gets a kill with this. Looks like he's going to get the Widow. Gets the Widow. Is that all, though? Adaptive Circus, we're engaged. Tracer's on the point. They're going to get moved back. Raza with the rally.
Yeah, force Winston out.
I'm stuck in a wall.
Not bad.
Unlocking the first point. Good ult usage by Remember Me.
Again, I think it didn't end up mattering on this fight, but I would have liked to see that RN a swing server there instead of playing like right below point.
I think
didn't have a great angle on our front line there.
Absolutely, but that comes with experience, and literally these lower players will stack cart.
Yeah.
Right now, I would probably want like the Tracer here. There's not much you can do on this.
Yeah, I want this backline to set up somewhere.
Because now with the Genji, they could easily dive this kills. Too much pressure on the Widow. Made her susceptible to taking that shot. Beautiful sleep by Shay.
We got a Prime on the back as well.
Do we have a Primal back? That means the zoned backline can't do much to help their Winston. Supports double stacking on the cardigan. Here it comes, the Winston with the Nano. Beautiful nade on the side of Gummy Shark. Yeah, that's why you need your supports on a different angle than what they are.
Yeah.
Our Winston gets the Ana on the enemy side, but that's too little too late. And they might just get another tragic pick here with the Widow. They do. Satoru needs to go back. Stabilize.
Yeah.
I think they're starting to get... Oh.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, you go. you go.
Okay, so I thought for a second there, Shay took a second to figure out where she's going to position. Raza positioning in a pretty good spot gives opportunities to open up into this little room right here. Widow Sheds go out on the side of Rat Milkers. This is going to be a big ult advantage. Gives you basically information for free. Here comes a Primal. Let's see how the Rat Milkers survive it. They've survived it pretty good. Sleep. They should have let it sleep for a little while. This backline is not dying. This is exactly what you want to see from an Ana Brig. Even pressures the Winston out. Raza maybe get a little overzealous looking for that kill, however, survives. Yeah. They're up a monkey. I don't know where our monkey is. Our monkey's coming back from spawn. Widow with a headshot. That's what you love to see. Brig.
Oh, a shield. Yeah, a bash.
She's still low, though. You need to survive. I'm not sure we need the rally, but I mean, a kill's a kill.
Fight one. We just need to kill.
Yeah, now we just need to burn the monkey. The monkey doesn't have primal, so he's easy to kill. I think just securing that fight win, that's technically the game, but we're going into third point anyways.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a common occurrence too, right? Like the ult usage, just not being super efficient. I know this was Raza on Brig, but you know, so I think it's been a common thing.
Yep,
it's not just been him.
No, especially last round with George. As much as we love him, questionable beats on the side of that, but that just becomes inexperience on the role.
Yeah, we have people who don't normally play main support.
Absolutely.
Playing main support.
Beautiful survival of the info sites. Normally you can get at least one pick on it. Backline surviving again against the Winston. You love to see it. That's what a backline's supposed to do.
It got dicey there for a second because our Shay did miss the nade on Raza.
Monkey 1, Ana gets the kill.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Like to see it set up here though from our backline.
Absolutely. Again. They shouldn't be 3-stacking here, especially with the Winston coming in with a... And the Genji coming in with a blade. There's nothing for them to survive that. However, Wispy taking a shot. Will they C9 again? Ana dies trying to touch point. I think this might just be over for Gummy Sharks. This blade has to go absolutely ballistic. However, on point, that's it. No blade was ever used. A draw in the match. Now let's go back to the comms. Let's see how they're feeling about that. That was a pretty good looking match. Alright, it's beautiful to hear them talking. Might be going Roadhog again. That would started off their winning trend in the scrim. Let's see, however. Joining me again is the commentator, Sam. Sam, George is in.
Yeah, he's back in.
Yep.
Raza was claiming he's stressed and wanted out. Maybe let's get him in here, actually.
Let's actually, yeah, let's absolutely.
I want to hear his thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Raza!
You pressed him too hard.
Raza, unmute. We have questions.
Okay, until Raza gets back
away from PC. Yeah.
From being super pressed. I wanted to actually talk to you because I completely forgot. Saturao pulling out the Roadhog on third point Samoa. What was the comms in there? Like, is it just a comfort pick for him, or
no? He was specifically coming as a counter to the Hazard.
Okay.
I mean, it worked for them, right? Like, I don't hate it. I think, you know, like, obviously Hog is not ideal, but if you feel like it can be a pocket pick, particularly to counter something, I think why not, you know? Mm-hmm. And it started opening up their game. I think CC in general is good against Hazard, so I think that's why it started working for them, and then why they were able to win that point, whereas they struggled, like, trying to do the Doomfist before. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's why he whipped it out.
Okay. I wanted to get that insight from you. Roadhog, you normally don't see him in competitive. Besides just flexing.
You're on his team.
Yeah, unless you're on his team. George going over to the Lucio, probably just going to speed boost out. They're going with the Lucio Bap, however. That could be an interesting pick, especially with the Queen.
She said that she liked the Ana Brig. So it seemed like before I left, she was suggesting that.
Okay.
But obviously, I think that's not ideal for a Saravasa. I think you want to play a little bit faster,
especially with the Queen.
I'm not sure what the idea behind the BAP is, especially with the Queen. Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe a comfort pick, but you want to stay away from the BAP because he's gonna get ran over by this Queen comp with the Genji Sojourn. Basically, just want to all egress onto your backline, and with BAP, that's a really accessible backline. So let's see what comes out the first fight. I love the pick of the cast just to slow things down.
Yeah, comfort bit for Crispy for sure.
Oh, the backline looking to get pinched by both the Sojourn.
That's an unfortunate knife.
Gets pulled, absolutely. They might want to just back up, let this fight degress.
Yeah.
No reason to kill yourself on this fight. Basically lost after that first pick.
Yeah, unfortunate knife, man.
That's you didn't want to see that. That I think was even worse. Lucio not giving a lot of health back. I don't even know if she had regenerative burst up. But now it looks like this might... I would have inted on this. This looks tragic incoming. Beautiful lamp.
You're able to stabilize it, yeah.
Genji super low.
Really good kite from the Gummy Sharks there.
Absolutely.
Recognizing that they're not going to be able to finish up, just get out.
Absolutely. And beautiful stabilization by Rat Milkers. Now they're pushing into the Queen. Beautiful knife by the Queen.
Nice.
That's a tank diff right there, if I've ever seen one before. Let's see what happens in the next fight. Pressing W now. Getting the Sojourn.
They must be calling targets because they're really all, like, shooting the same thing right here.
Absolutely, especially with that Queen. As soon as she pulled it in, that was burnt immediately. It didn't take too much time.
Their focus fire is looking good.
Mm-hmm. However, 70% on the board. 2 Gummy Sharks, 12 on Rat Milkers. Let's see how this next fight degresses. Wispy was the first to get picked. Let's see if his angles get any better. Going low. Genji controlling this high ground.
Tucker was calling Monkubu to play this high ground earlier. So it seems like he's sticking to that.
It makes sense to play the high ground.
To play a little bit forward.
Ooh, you wanted to see the immortality field maybe a little sooner. As soon as that shout comes out, basically kills the frontline action right there. Both supports dead. Now we're just gonna see how much time and how much percentage we can build up. Something died already?
We've got a Genji trade on the other side.
Genji trade on the other side. Wish I was looking at that.
Yeah.
All right, last fight for Rat Milkers here. Got
coming in fast.
4 ults coming up on the board. However, they need to come fast, like Sam said. They have a Genji to completely to have a blade out, and an OC.
We've got the ult.
Oh, you don't want to see that. George throws another beat out early, probably to save the Genji. However, you want to see that hold for an actual ult.
Yeah.
Weird blade coming out from Gummy Sharks, but they'll secure the point. 1-0 on the map score.
Right?
We're not mad.
I mean, we kind of blow our blade, or beat, and then they follow with the blade after. I think that's like the ult you're looking to trade anyways, just not in that order.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more with that one. Coming up, it's gonna be a 4 ult fight, but big difference is Gummy Sharks has that survivability with the Lucio, and also the Queen can build some health with her ult. Nothing to stop the Queen actually from just ripping her ult when she sees it, too. That's another thing you gotta make note of. Especially stacking all 4 like this could be tragic. Kitsune out first. OC coming out next. Let's see if she gets anything. Beautiful kite away. No one's died so far on Rat Milker's side. You wanted to see that.
Bit stable. We gotta call something to recommend. We got the ults to do it too.
You have the ult, absolutely. You want to see probably the Queen go first. Bleed's coming in now. Gets 5.
That's perfectly good. We have an opening for the Queen ult here.
Now we do, yes, absolutely. Gets 4. That's a beautiful ult. Yeah, 4, however, 4 people die in the back line. I think that might have just been a survivability thing right there.
I think the ult layering was the right idea, just not great execution.
You want to get those kills, especially with that Queen ult going in. Getting 4, there's no reason you shouldn't have got at least 1, you know?
I think as well, losing Mankumi there on the blade after the beat was less than ideal, right? I think as soon as you see the beat, you kind of just slow it down.
Absolutely. Immortality field used early. There's nothing to stop that Queen. That's exactly what you wanted to see. Even though she's all the way in the back, this could be the final fight here. And everyone going down low.
We lose our support stuff.
Lose both supports. That's final fight right there. Mankumi, we really need to discuss. It's been kind of quiet with his blade.
Yeah. I think his timing has just not been on point.
He was a highlight last scrim, so maybe just on the day, not his day.
Yeah.
Coming into the next fight, however, enemy Genji has a chance to build blade. Window's still available, and so is Deadeye. You could combo the two, however, it's opening you up for a really easy rush.
Yeah, they need to know the blade is here, right? Because we might be able to counter it with our high noon, or we gotta get George to build up that B.
Absolutely.
Looks like we got a split here, a 2-3 split. We go early with the high noon.
High noon for Sony. However, you don't like to see that. There's not much room you can work with. Oh, gets 2!
Huge! On the window! Yeah.
I wasn't expecting the window to get any use, but that got as much use as it could. At this point, it's a cleanup fight. You want to keep your BAP alive. We do.
Do that.
Rat Milkers. Ooh, they're going to have to keep with an OC. I think a really...
OC on their side.
Maybe fat-fingered. Just a nothing burger of an OC from the side of Gummy Sharks. However, you want to focus on what George is doing right now. He has the weight of the world on his shoulders with the blade rush coming in. He's playing with his Genji right now.
We need this beat to counter something.
Rush coming in. They need to rotate. They haven't been looking at each other for...
I think we're going to get beat here.
He gets beat, but he only gets 2. I think they were just slow on rotating. The Genji and Lucio were over in the small room playing with each other, and the enemy team was nowhere near them.
Yeah. I think they found success with the 3-2 split when they were on the retake, and then kind of figured it might work again. The problem is that they were not on a retake during that fight, right? It's a defense. Play a little bit tighter. know that we're
Absolutely.
gonna be Blade's gonna be coming in.
Well, I don't hate the idea of controlling that small room. I think as soon as they stop going, like appearing, you gotta rotate them in. And I think that small opening where they didn't. Here comes the rip of the Queen Shout.
Three.
The Immortality Field gets 3. Gets 2. They need to stabilize, get out. I don't think the Queen's going to do that. This is going to be a stagger, maybe ending into last fight territory if George can't get out. Looking like it. Last fight territory coming up for Rat Milkers. However, they're using the blade.
Getting a swap off the bat finally.
You'd love to see that. That Kiriko Suzu, big ult into Queens.
Yeah, really important in Queen comps.
Absolutely. Blade comes out early. Let's see if there's any use out of it. Blade might be dull.
He might get 1.
He gets his 1, but gets 2.
Might get 3.
Gets the blade reset. Helps on the 3rd.
Yeah.
That blade looking like it was going to do nothing. Gets as much as it could. Beautiful take by Rat Milkers. Now coming up again with a high noon and again with the Rampage. You're going to look to force out the Kirisuzu and then go.
Playing the Congo line again.
We are in a Congo line. It's good that you mentioned that. All 5 players, same line. High noon coming out. George could have sped that around, but doesn't look like it.
He instead goes to mark the Genji.
Looks like it. But however, that high noon does enough to make sure they
Goes
cap
on.
the point. 1-2, going in
into
favor of
pressure,
Gummy
though.
Sharks. This fight's for ult building right now. Be nice to see if Rat Milkers take it, but they will not. They're down 2, down 3. George goes for a swim, but cannot swim.
Heavy boots.
All right, 1-2 coming into the final point of.
We're gonna have point here first because it's a cross point here, so we can get a free cap here. I'd like to see a setup at the archway.
Set up at the archway.
Exactly what we're getting.
We talked about space control. OC comes out. Let's see what happens. Throws the Carnage out. That's actually a lovely. Suzu only gets 1. However, no follow-up. This might be tragic. George low. George beats.
Might be still winnable.
Might be still winnable. Genji is basically 1 heart hero right now. Queen gets 1.
That's 2 with that slash. Wow.
That's
Both the
beautiful.
back line.
I don't think this is winnable, however. I think it just evolved into a brawl and ability usage right here.
Yeah.
However, stalling out for as long as possible, very beneficial
Right.
to Rat Milkers.
Queen 1v1.
Maybe he wins this.
When we got our
Shay's back!
They got their Lucio back. I think we just look stable here.
We might look to stabilize. Kitsune
We
out.
go for it.
Wasn't expecting that. However, Rat Milker's still at the point. They could very much come back from this. Scorch, however, gets 2. Queen gets another 1. Queen can't do any more.
Yeah, Satoru is on a run right now.
Throws an ult out,
builds
builds it.
another
That's
ult.
crazy.
Yeah, he's on one right now.
Oh, he's just tearing through it. Fortunately, Genji can only get 1. It's George and Satoru. Satoru with a big slash. Shay's back. Can we kill the Queen off the kit? Oh my god, they might win this on 2 fights.
We might get a blade here, though.
The blade is something. No, the Genji's dead.
Get the Genji.
George is
Here,
still
get
low.
the TP1, yeah.
George is dead, however, it is just a sojourn.
Just a sojourn.
Oh my god, they win this. This was a dog-eat fight. Satoru deserves MVP here. They gotta kill him. Just scrim formalities. But that stagger could have been big in a normal game.
He's getting all the scrim bucks here.
Oh, absolutely. Satoru stonks right now, super high. Would be investing. That was a crazy fight. Satoru almost again back to the carnage. 64%. However, they do have Blade and Kitsune Rush. Kitsune Rush coming out from Gummy Sharks.
An angle here. Maybe he could do something with this.
Maybe he could do something.
Looks like we kite.
I don't
I think we
mind
just
that guy.
Yeah, we just respect the rush.
Absolutely. Let's see. Blade versus Blade. High noon. Here comes Blade. Rampage rip. George rips the
That was
beat.
a 4-man. But
Beautiful.
We get the beat to counter.
However, that opens them up for a Genji Blade. Let's see if he's going to use it. Satoru still
Getting
eating.
sloppy here.
Beautiful 3-man. High noon out. Let's see what he gets.
Great play.
he doesn't get anything. It's just, pretty sure it's just zoning. But that was a beautiful rampage by Satoru.
Yeah.
Personally, stonks going high for Satoru.
That's 3 ults in 2 fights.
Yeah, it's crazy right now. He's just carrying them. Let's see how this next halt divides. Queen versus Queen again. We know who wins this one. Genji Blade out, however, his half. Goes for George. George doesn't get the Suzu. Kiriko, unfortunate TP, is going to get killed out here. Probably fight won by Gummy Sharks. However, Satoru's still in this. We don't know. Carnage comes out. Satoru finally goes down. 50% on the point. 4 Rat Milkers.
We're at a bit of an ult disadvantage here. That's something to think about. But we do have a rush, which I think might be powerful enough to overcome their 2.
Absolutely. We'll
see how they play.
Absolutely. It's seeing how the fight devolves. Sojourn is easily punished if you run to the right. They don't see him at all.
Oh, not marking this OC. She gets out, though. She just wrecks the Queen.
That was the most punishable OC I've ever seen. Queen's going super low. Beat's coming out to engage on that.
Engage on their end, yeah.
However, Genji gets killed again, first to fall. Both DPS by Rat Milkers down. Queen down finally. Kiriko down. I think that might be throwing us to final point. However, they get some crucial ults out right now.
Yeah. We're heading into final fight territory at ult disadvantage. Gonna be hard to get value out of a Ainu into a rush.
These two teams are gonna be fighting each other right here at this midpoint.
Gummy Sharks looking to play forward here.
George looking for the touch. Kasune out.
Crispy under pressure here.
Out. Crispy in a lot of pressure. That's a 4-man looking at him. Shay's under pressure. 4-man looking at her now. George dies. I think that might just be the point. And if I'm wrong, that might be the game. Unless Satoru goes absolutely crazy. He can't because of the Rampage's anti.
Yeah.
And that's it. 2-3. Let's go back into Rat Milker's comp, see how they're doing. For Gummy Sharks, I believe. But Satoru with 7k healing on the Queen. That's absolutely mental. Satoru putting on performance, however, could not carry his team across that finish line. So we're going to be seeing new Queen Street on the Rat Milkers. So let's see. George, right now, home field advantage of Canada. Sam, welcome back. How we doing? I got a stat line for you. 7k healing on the Junker Queen.
Yeah, that was insane.
I think Satoru really put the pedal to the metal on that floor.
Yeah. Queen is definitely one of his stronger characters. And I think he learned a lot too, because he played the Queen in the last scrim on Saravasa. And he did a better job of doing like what we told him, right? Just holding that space instead of just kind of collapsing in. He did falter a couple times. Like I think that Soja example was one of those times where he kind of gave the space a little bit. But I think for the most part, he was doing a lot better about it.
Okay, let's talk about these comps that are coming out. We're going to be seeing a Ball, Lucio, Sojourn, Fury, maybe Sombra, maybe Tracer. We don't know. Most likely going to be a Sombra. Sets the dives up better. Don't know what Rat Milker's going to be playing, but let's talk about that comp in general. It's going to be a very difficult comp for like a team.
Shay on Widow.
Shay is on Widow. I've seen Weirder today. I've seen Raza on Brig. But let's talk about this Ball comp, especially going into Queen. What are we looking at here?
They definitely struggled with the Ball comp last time they saw it. I'd like to see how they adjust to it. And obviously, they're not quite expecting it yet because we haven't seen it from this team at all. So I want to see how they adjust to it as the map progresses.
Absolutely, Ball's
make the right adjustments because like Ball is a very tricky one, particularly for backline characters. Right, ideally you want your flex to just be able to ignore him, so it's a lot on your main support and maybe even your main DPS to ward him off a lot.
Absolutely, and the only one they're doing the rush comp of the Queen, Sojourn, Tracer, Kiri, Lucio. The only one they can really get onto is that Soldier, and even that's a tricky pick because of his legs. Let's see how the first fight engages.
Yeah, I think there's potential for them to just play really fast once they notice the ball. right? Like, there's no front line. You guys kind of just go.
Absolutely. Like, this Sojourn right now is the freest I've ever seen him.
Yeah,
Ball coming in.
Kind of, they're gonna not a great position to start there.
I'm going to chalk that up to not having grapple, but that was weird. George with the boop, that gives him plenty of ult, actually. Almost 40%, 62 beat.
That playoff experience coming through. Really
Absolutely.
strong.
George's playoff experience on Lucio coming through. Pretty sure this is the first time we've seen him on Lucio in a competitive break. Sombra doesn't get the hack off, so Curie gets out there for free. 3 on point.
Like to see some space established here, particularly from Satoru.
Absolutely. There's no reason we should be 4 deep right now on this bot.
Satoru can take some space, and then we can get some swings from Quispy.
Ooh, Soldier gets out a nice Helix rocket onto Wispy. If he was playing by this car...
Satoru's collapsing our formation here, unfortunately. It's not gonna work out for the rest of the team.
No, he's been chasing a lot. And I remember last scrim we had a problem with him chasing in the... I think it was the Queen.
Yeah, I was on the Queen, yeah.
So let's see if he can figure that out. Ball, you don't want to be chasing this ball because you're never going to catch up to him.
And that's what it was, right? Because he was playing the Queen on Servasa against the ball, and you found him chasing a lot.
Okay,
he gets the ball here because the ball kind of feeds, but...
Yeah, the ball, that was all the ball. I don't think there was any skill on that part. I think the ball just kind of messed up there. Yeah. But for the most part, you're not going to catch the ball as the Queen. Now you can, but you'd all have to be looking at him because the ball has a bajillion health. George, out in the middle of nowhere, gets the same treatment JFK does, put down. However, they're still pushing the bot. 4 on 5. Beautiful knife by Satoru. Showing why he's a Queen player right now. Sombra, Virus out. Misses this, because Suzu, I believe it's called. Not Katsune. Katsune's the ult. Now they're chasing.
Really great follow-up. Yeah, they chase that Sombra down.
Looking like they're going to chase the ball down. I think the ball is just kind of feeding his brains out right now. Not an experienced ball player. Wispy is getting shot by the ball. Doesn't do anything. George diffs the Lucio. We're going to ignore the Queen and just say that's a George diff right there. Monko walks into the mines that have been there for 3 decades. That's embarrassing. You don't love to see that. Slam coming in. Probably not going to get too much. Not too much focus. Oh, I lied. Soldier.
Yeah, there's a positioning error here. We got to play a little bit wider.
Propaganda. Not useless here. Kills 2. That's going to be a cleanup for Gummy Sharks. Or we can start getting more and more progress. It's a very slow cleanup, but cleanup nonetheless. All right.
We got a duel going on over there. Gummy gets the better of it. Crispy helps.
There's 2 people on that Soldier. That Soldier was being greedy, looking at that off angle. Ball right now thrown in. There's 3 people on him. He might die here. JK, he's out because that Sombra's pack. He's perfect.
Casual ball. Oh wow. Satoru catches their Lucio off guard there.
It's just too much to look at, especially with these ball comps. It's just overhead right now. A chase is going on for the ball. George could probably boop him. Ball half. Probably not going to get too much out of it. This ball is super slow. George just pumping damage into him. However, gets caught in the wrong alley.
Yeah.
They don't have dark alleys in Canada because George not experienced with that. Sombra, however, gets caught out. That's a good pick by them. Allows the Tracer to play a bit more free, a bit more carefree. However, the Soldier is always taking this angle with the Curie and always netting a kill. No pulse kill with the Tracer. They're chasing the Soldier. They get it. Or they get punished for it.
Yeah. I mean, we're seeing the problems right here, right? Like, a lot of stacking on the point gets punished by the angles, by the enemy angles.
George pushes a beat out, only gets 2. I don't hate it. There's not a lot of ults that could be it. But maybe you would have held that for Visor?
Yeah, and I'm sure we get any trades out of it, though.
No. Satoru just needs to die faster. Or, no, his team's hold here. Let's see if anybody gets killed out here. Nope, everyone looks good. Really Wispy needs some healing.
Manages to stabilize.
Stabilization happens. Gummy Sharks, however, have not got this barrier even around the corner. So right now, Ratmilker's playing pretty good. That's Sombra playing a bit far out.
Their timing is really... They're just not on the ball timing.
No,
I
they're
think
not.
the ball's going a little early, and then they just kind of try to follow up as he's leaving,
Mhm.
and then they're getting caught out every time.
They don't get the Kiriko, so only one pick on that, really. However,
Right, like the ball just needs to take a little bit more time to let their backline set up so they can kind of group these engages.
As we've been talking through this, we're stacking up against, especially with this EMP coming out. This is why you do not stack like that. That gives the soldier perfect opportunity to top his visor, find two.
Yeah.
This would be a great lesson for them to take. However, we're still getting a bit of progress. Not being
Needs
able to
the same
clear as
issue
fast.
over and over again.
Absolutely. The positioning of 4 stacked deep, that's just asking for Somber to get the big EMP that she's wanted, and she's got it every time. Basically for free. It's just the enemy team, Gummy Sharks, cannot capitalize too hard on it.
Yeah.
George may be looking to get pinched. This might be tragic. Again in the dark alley. Tracer might get killed here. No re. Oh. Might have to come back and look on that one. I don't know what George was thinking there.
Yo, Raza!
He's cooking poutine too hard. Raza back in the game. Raza, how we doing?
He's
All
still
right.
muted.
Donowald again. Might have to give him a dollar.
Again.
Let's see how they pursue this. Bot coming up on...
Makumi's here a little early.
Makumi's taking a
Like
good angle.
a sense of urgency, yeah.
Mine's coming out. Let's see if anybody eats them. George hacked. Shay teleports in. I don't think it was needed. Satoru goes a little too far before everyone's set up. Shay gets one. However, Wispy gets taken out by the Kiriko. I think the support line finding themselves in a terrible position. George might be just stalled out here. That's checkpoint. And since
I think you do got to give credit to their minds there. Kind of made that that swing for them a little bit awkward.
Absolutely. And with that fight win, we could see Gummy Sharks taking the lead for the first time in the map. Satoru drops early. This could be tragic. There's no one to follow up on. Beat comes out.
Early beat.
But however, a bit early on the fucking Rampage, George gets caught out. I think maybe egressing a little too hard, maybe feeling the momentum of that speed. I understand that all too well. You feeling that speed, you're going forward. This gives Gummy Shark the lead. 69 to 70. EMP inbound. However, they do have the rush. They do have the Suzu. George with the beat. Going to Hog. I'm guessing Hog is just a comfort pick to slow down the dives.
Yeah.
Not ideal what you want to see, but definitely something you can. It's going to be really difficult for Hog to get much value into this. Somber hacks you. You can basically just be burning. Hog going on an adventure looking for the Sojourn. Mines get the Sojourn. George cut off. Soldier eventually gets caught. However, Wispy down. George again with a 2-man beat. You hate to see it. I'm not a fan of this
Relatively
Hog.
Healthy team as well.
Mm-hmm.
With that beat.
This Hog is just too susceptible to that virus hack, you know? Hog's only real kit is his take a breather and this hook. But if you can't do the breather and you're hacked, you just take bonus damage. Re-engage coming in here. EMP ready. This could be the end of this fight. However, gets the Lucio beat.
On the Lucio, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the value of Hog, right? If you can land these hooks. There's another one.
There's another one, yeah, absolutely. It's the hooks that matter. And he's gotten 2 so far, so he is winning this game.
We are moving bot here. Despite the fact that we're not really moving the rest of the team.
No, that fight was going on, but the bot steal was big. Somber goes up. Let's see if they can catch Somber. No, she survives.
Hey, loser. No.
Pulse bomb on the ball.
You gotta be careful chasing that ball again. That's what happened last time. I saw George.
George again in a back alley.
Yeah.
Someone gotta tell him he's not in normal Canada. Dark alleys are bad for you.
Are we spooky men back there?
There's probably some dangerous fellas. OC coming out. I'm not getting a lot. However, the EMP gets its target. You really just want to burn the Hog. That opens so much space for your ball. Mine's coming out. They can just not touch the bot and win this, basically. Tracer is the only one who can touch, but she's on the other side of the football field. I don't think they're going to get this touch. I think this is it.
Maybe George can come in?
No. Tragic. Gummy Sharks with a map win. That's their 3rd in a row. So as we jump into this game, let's see what type of compositions they're going to pick.
Is Raza
Co-commentator
alive?
Sam. No, Raza is still pressed.
Okay. Still don't know welling us. That's cool.
Absolutely. You gotta be sending him $1.
Yeah, maybe I'll send him $1 for his time on break.
Alright, so we're gonna be seeing... Ooh, is this a Far Mercy that we could be seeing here? Far Mercy was played on... I think it was Circuit last time Rat Milkers played.
Yeah, they did. It was with Grim. Grim is in the VC, by the way. I just noticed that.
Grim is probably just sitting on his phone, though, listening.
Yeah.
But I am still glad he's making it out. Shows commitment to the team. On the side of Gummy Sharks, we're seeing a Bastion Widow, then Sojourn.
Bully tank comp.
Oh, absolutely. This is a big bully tank, especially if Satoru runs back out on that hog. This would just delete him.
Yeah. Maybe it might be what they're expecting here on the side of Gummy Sharks. But we do get a Sigma.
Anyone has the flying ace skin for Winston can add me.
Mr. Robert with the
Mr.
flying
Robert
ace skin,
coming
as
out
per
another-
usual.
He loves the flying ace skin and the phone call for reasons I'm not going to say on stream. Alright, they switched off the Zen, so Tank's not going to get bullied as hard. Probably saw the Sigma. The Sigma, however, is in for Road Awakening. It can get very much ran at here with the Juno.
Ramatra.
Yep.
Yeah, Juno Ramatra, yeah.
Another thing to keep in mind is that the Ramatra, I think his third perk still gives 80% slow. So definitely, if you get caught in it, you better hope that your supports have your back. Because that 80%...
Okay, according to Raza, he's here for commentary, but he's currently driving, so Mike sounds poop.
Mike sounds poop. Understandable. We'll get Raza's input when he comes back, or if he ever comes back. We don't know. He's in traffic.
Yeah. Write your thoughts about your break gameplay. That's what we want to know.
Write your thoughts and drive safely. It's 6:30 in California, where we are. Traffic on a Friday, basically a death sentence. So be safe,
drive
Raza.
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, it's California traffic still.
Okay.
That shit's still a death trap. Satoru captured in the slow, however, not the 80% slow yet. A lot of space given up. I would love to see the Far take a more decisive angle on this hotel right here. Shut down. Oh my god, the dive and the Sojourn headshot onto the Ash basically opens up for the DPS. The Far, I think, playing a little too conservatively here.
Yeah.
Might end the Doom. Oh, no one tells Shay to rotate. Shay needed to rotate 3 years ago.
Very late rotation.
Absolutely.
Or actually, no rotation.
No rotation at all. Gets punished for it, as you should. And I think this might just be first point open for Gummy Sharks. Yeah, and with that Far pick, I do not think there's an opportunity for him. Satoru just actually might die here because...
Nice rock. Gives him a little bit of reprieve.
It does. Maybe he
Might buy
survives.
his life there. Yeah.
Very lucky to survive that. He survived on the skin of his teeth. He should be thanking his support line. Now let's see how they set up here. Wispy taking a lot of poke damage. Genji's open for the slash. Realized that soon enough. Ram's building
I'd like
space.
to see some pressure on this Ram here. He's
Absolutely.
by himself.
Basically by himself.
To unload on him.
It is a good pick that the Sojourn gets picked. Ram, I think, just kind of turbo feeds. George dead. I think you can secure a corner right here and stabilize this fight.
They should be able to retake the point here.
Beautiful rocket impact by the Genji. Point is retaken for the first time in this map. They have stopped the offensive. 4 minutes left in the time bank.
Alright, so I do have some insight onto the Raza Brick gameplay here.
Alright, do you share?
He claims that Brick is fun. He says he didn't want to be a conductor and tell everyone what to do or where to be. So he just played where they wanted and played to heal his DPS on his Ana.
With that being said, however, Rush comes out, trying to pump the Ram, but Ram's already done enough damage. 2 down with the Rush and Annihilation. This should be opening up.
Getting staggered.
George is getting staggered again. Tragic. I think this might be just second point unlocked. There's 3 on cart. That's the maximum amount of players that get the bonus. I don't think there's going to be a touch, but I could be wrong. They could be setting up for it. It's going to be by the skin of their teeth. Sig has an ult, so he could very much push the pressure here. Ash also has Bob coming out. However, on the side of Gummy Sharks is the Blade. Blade comes out. Let's see how many gets. He dives into the backline. Probably gets the Ana. Goes for the Juno. Gets the Juno. Will he get more?
I think we saw the Sig collapse once again, trying to respond to the Genji Blade instead of playing the front line.
Absolutely. Genji, however, does the damage enough to open that wide open. Sig doesn't get too much off his ult. Unfortunately, because of all that pressure, Sojourn right here with the OC has the Tiger up for free, and this is a very dangerous angle for Turtle to be holding. Especially
I actually want Mokimo to keep trying to mark that.
He does.
At least give her a little bit of pressure, something to think about.
He gets her off the high ground, which is absolutely what's needed. Here comes our orbital. OC out. Ram just gets to walk on our front line for free. Horse should have been there to at least absorb it. However, nice
gotta help
cleanup.
Arana. Okay. They managed to take their business back there.
Absolutely. It was a good recovery. It was looking like they were fumbling there for a second. Ana hits a crucial sleep. I would love to see the Horse, however, do a bit more controlling that Ram.
Yeah.
He shouldn't have been able to run through that position as hard as he did.
Yeah, and even if you do let him slip by, make sure you keep that back line back and throw some shots into him.
Looking to burn the Ram, he gets it. That's exactly what you wanted to see. And you get the orbital out. That's exactly what you wanted to see. You can trade out of DPS for that Ram. Oh, no. Horse dies. Genji dies. Oh, my God. Something's falling apart. Shay needs to get out of there, survive, because if she doesn't, it's going to be tragic. Ash is back, however. That was just a falling apart. I don't know what happened. That we might have to go back to replay that later on. As soon as they got that Ram ult, it should have been over. Soldier taking a dangerous off angle to the right. Kitsune coming out the mid. Not a very big Kitsune. Horse going deep. Beautiful anti.
I was just about to call, like, if our Horse wants to play here, we either got to go for the ult or we got to back.
Goes for the ult.
He goes for the ult.
And it's followed up beautifully with the anti. That's what you love to see. Alright, however, on the side of Gummy Sharks, coming in with the Annihilation, it could be building up to a Blade. Shay, only one with an ult here, could look for survivability.
Not loving the Ana position here.
I don't either. Again, another position and a 4-3 stack, basically the same angle. You could hold this high ground. I think it's a little too late with the Genji up here now. Tanks
I would
brawling
like
out.
to see Monkuma in a more aggressive angle to start. Able to just walk and not have to clear anything, you know?
Horse is falling back a little bit.
I think that's fine. We hold this corner.
Pushing the
Mokuma's gotta
Ram
mark
into
this
it.
height.
Oh no!
They're able to burn him.
Annihilation comes out, but doesn't get anything. I would have loved to see the Nano or Barrage, but Barrage gets nothing. Nano, just for survivability, I think.
Yeah, on the Orisa.
Yeah. All right,
Good enough for them to stabilize
switch into a diva. Apparently, they think the Pharah is the problem here. Horse is getting burnt down low using Spirit Spin. Someone needs to heal your Ash. Heal your Ash. Oh, it's dead. Absolutely tragic. Blade comes out here. Oh my God, she sleeps it. Who's the goober who woke him? That was a beautiful sleep. I would be blaming my teammates there, but I blame them no matter what. George needs to escape to live. Ash looks like the only one to touch. Not even with a Bob either. Gets shut down. That looks like third point open.
Yeah, that's it.
I just think the Ash needed to take a better angle there. Probably wouldn't have died.
GR.
That and the support line too. Bit out of position.
I think you hurt Raza's feelings.
I did.
So in the chat he wrote, Alex, like you said this. Raza, how was the brig? Raza answers question. Alex, no one cares about you, bum. Raza's sad.
Didn't beat you. There was an ult fight going on. Raza feels the pain of the main support role now.
Mhm.
Getting ignored. Still, we're part of the
Your
team,
plays never matter.
but your plays never matter. Exactly.
They're not sexy, bro. Sorry.
But Raza, if I'm gonna be honest, your survivability in that backline with Shay, probably the highlight of that match.
Yeah, I agree.
The survivability was great. Hammond Boss saying, yeah, we're having an Overwatch League discussion. That league's dead, boys. Alright, we're seeing a hog. We're most likely gonna run out on it. He has pulled out the hogs a few times. My only problem with this is their comp is set up to even include the Zen. Like, that's not impossible, and then just to go switch off, you know?
Yeah.
And that's just basically a GG for Hog.
Yeah, Hog definitely struggles to be a space taker. So choosing him for attack is a little questionable, I think.
I think it's very questionable, especially with the Ram. And especially on first point, they're just going to be holding these long angles. This hook's not going to get anybody. And if it does, it's going to get the Ram. The Ram can just kind of walk out of that for free.
I think they do have the benefit of the fact that the enemy team just so happens to be playing Mei Widow, which isn't super bursty.
Mm-hmm.
So there might be an opportunity for some value, but
absolutely
still not ideal.
George getting denied in my chat for saying we got a hooker. We do have a hooker here. I'm gonna allow that because we all know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Satoru really liking the Hog. We have played with Hog 1 tricks before, so it is possible to play it. It's just really difficult. So let's see how he does here.
Yeah.
Well, we're looking.
I mean, I think part of why we struggle with it is it's much slower comp, perhaps. The fact that they struggle with taking initiative may be to their advantage in playing in a Hog comp.
I could see that. We gotta watch out for this Mei wall though.
Who's sneaky hero?
Genji going around the back. Widow doesn't see him yet. However, is getting pocketed by the Kiriko.
She sees it.
She sees that she's backing up, has angle on it, throws a shot into it, hooks onto the Hog.
A lot of pressure onto the Ram.
A lot of pressure onto the Ram.
Onto the Hog. We lose Crispy in that crossfire there.
We do.
We need Makumi to show a little bit more initiative.
He did force the Widow back. However, it did, I think, open up the Widow for the Wispy's headshot.
Yeah, he just needed to do something there. Either follow up on that angle or start pressing the front line. He just was AFK there for a little too long.
He's getting pressured out. He gets the Widow. That's what you love to see. Maybe gets the Kiriko. Gets diffed by the Kiriko. However, getting that Widow opens up the map for your hit scan player.
If I'm being honest about that, though, it kind of feels like they fed that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that wasn't his initiative. They tried to clear him out.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100 on that one. Felt like it was freer for them not to just ignore him for a second.
Yeah.
However, gets the Widow. The Widow's going to be back. Is back right now. We switched off to the Widow. Annihilation built up by punching people. Shay dead. I think Shay needed to play back a little further. Why would you pull him further into your back line? That's crazy. He gets them, but
it might be worth considering the spawns here.
Mm-hmm. They gotta play a lot faster on this. They gotta open this opportunity.
Yeah, they gotta go. Their tank is dead. We have 5. We gotta go.
Like, we can probably ignore the Widow right here. Have the.
There we go, Makumi. Get on that. Get on the
Satoru gets a crucial pick.
Following up as well. That's a huge.
Absolutely, Satoru getting his 2. He needed those.
Crispy got the Widow.
I don't think we needed the Juno ult, which is going to nowhere. However,
we did not.
It was a good pick by Satoru. Satoru again showing his prowess on this team. Opening things up.
A lot better showing on this scrim than last time.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Widow duel coming in. Let's see the Widow's POV. Scratch that. Rush coming out. Annihilation. Walled up. Genji stuck in the room. Gets killed by 2. Satoru's out, however. Oh, gets the Kiriko.
Wow.
That's actually a better pick, I would say.
Yeah.
Getting that support.
I was going to say that was a bad trade for them, but Satoru kind of brings it back there for them.
Absolutely. Satoru showing his prowess on the Hog. However, they needed to break through this. I think this is that advantage he got. Oh, Wispy gets the Widow. Right. They need to break through this choke right now.
I was about to say he can mark the Xana for free now. And he does exactly that.
Absolutely. Gets another one. Satoru fishing for Ram. Probably doesn't get it. However, getting past
Should be
that
able to
archway
finish me.
is a crucial thing for the Hog right now. Now Hog has access to all these alleyways and all these off angles that Hogs love to sit at. Alright, Infosight's out for Wispy. Let's see if he gets anything. Fighting that Widow. The Widow knows where he is. Ram marked him. Probably the end of that Ram do. Ram built another ult, probably just punching him. Statro does
Exactly
what
what we
Whole Hog
expect to
is needed. There's an opportunity to kill that Juno. Does he get it? He gets it. They're down to support. That's what you needed to see.
A lot of pressure on the Ram here.
A lot of pressure on the Ram. Opens that up. Mail's probably not going to get anything. Let's see if he does. Nothing. Satro, actually, I lied.
Wait,
Satro
he
might have
freezes.
thrown that if not for his ult. So,
Fortunately, he is a hog, so he does not die.
he does not die. However, probably should yell at him about that. What the fuck we doing? Alright, third point opened up with 3 minutes on the time bank.
We're getting a Genji swap off the Mei.
You like to see that with this vertical high ground taken. Oh my god, he gets the hook into the pool, into the Shantytown.
The depths of things around. Yeah.
That's what you want to see. That's a great pickup. However, Scorched finally on fire kills the Genji. You love to see that. Widow finally woken up. Crispy taking a really risky angle.
Satru manages to take care of it. Crispy gets
Scorched is on fire, showing what his name means, finally. Satru trying to double dip on that. Horse getting wiser to that. George dead. Looks like they're going to have to regroup on here. However, Scorched with the infrared sight, I don't think was needed. There's a Widow right next to me. I didn't even know that. Only thing on the side of Gummy Sharks is this Ana. Coming up on Horse. Let's see what happens here. Two support ult on the side of Remember Me. They could do a Nano Blade here, and it could be crazy. Horse ult here. Shay's dead. Full Hog. He gets it again!
He does get it again.
That's
Gets
crazy!
another hook.
However, can't do it because the Genji's deflecting. Stop taking a breather if you're out of breath. If Purple dies, I think that's going to be the end of Remember Me's push.
Makumi gets one.
Oh, Makami gets it. Wispy gets it. Alright. They're still going. They're still going.
Makami gets another. Yeah.
That's a big pick. Blade's
Run for
out.
the blade. Only Horse alive.
That's a greedy blade, but I mean, secures them.
And a
to fight
nano on
win.
it on top of it.
Ooh, that might be too much.
Yeah.
Ooh, Wispy actually, they might just shove them in the corner, back in the locker. Lake's gonna be the only one to have the touch. Orbital's out. Down. Genji's.
I like Shay giving some space there.
It does give
Got
some
nano
space.
on the Orisa.
Hog's looking too far, maybe. I think Hog might be too far here. Oh, Hog gets
He'll get one.
He gets his one.
He might fall off the map.
Oh, he gets revenged on, falls off the map. That's gonna be the end of Remember Me's push unless Wispy goes crazy or the Genji. Wispy gets out.
Creative environmentals there.
Very creative environments. You love to see them. Alright. Genji and Orisa. Only ones with ults here. I think
We're
they...
getting a Malga swap.
Amalgam swap is a very interesting swap. You definitely can shoot the horse. However, you gotta be conscious about the Ana's nade, and that Ana has been on top of her nades.
Yeah.
Horse with the shield perk, you don't see that too often. You normally go for the charge spear. Horse uses this for gold.
Yeah, she burned a lot of her cooldowns early here.
Absolutely, this is a great time to punish the horse. However, nothing comes of it.
She's gonna look for the ult.
Alt's here now. Shay survives it. You need to see, love to see that. George, I don't know why he's in the back line. George, I think, kind of feeding there. He does get his one. Wispy and Maymonk finally coming alive, getting their two. Just the Juno.
Was just enough.
Absolutely, but questionable positioning by George.
Yeah.
It's going to go into a tie game, which means... Oh, hold on. Ooh, big stomp. Goes into the tie game. That... With tie games, we do not continue into OT. That is just the map for it.
What time is it now?
good luck,
5 a.m.
That is the last one, yeah.
Yay, I'm gonna be free! Bro!
He's a Saudi player. It's 5 in the morning for him. That's crazy. Talking about crazy, Sam, we're gonna be watching
Yes.
12 a.m. tonight.
Yeah. 1
Soon
a.m. for
Cup.
me.
It's 1 a.m. for him.
Anyone want some
I'm
cherry
looking forward to
smoke
it though. I
gooey
like,
cheese?
and it's we get the chance to see
My
Virtus
mom
Pro
made it
and
herself.
Nightmare against
Oh wow.
Korean
Yes.
teams, at least mid-table
That
Korean
sounds
teams.
good.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask.
Three, do
Do you
shoot
think I
me?
should
Yes.
give them input, like on comps? Because I'm kind of like just letting them choose what they want to play. Just
I
because.
I think it's fine for
I
now,
f-
just because like
yeah.
kind of figuring it out a little bit, just like what they're capable of.
Yeah,
in
and
terms of
also like
comps.
I think it's better for them to play their comfort picks.
Yeah, we can figure that.
Because I'm not gonna tell them to play something they don't know how to play, you know.
Mhm.
Speaking of which, we're going
Okay.
back to
Like
the hog.
George playing Luke.
Because I'm just saying, bro. I hate like Hog's working, but like I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I
Well,
don't
like
like Hog.
I was saying that maybe the hog works just because like they tend to take less initiative anyways.
Yeah.
So they're not looking to play super aggro angles, and they just naturally play a slower style.
Yeah.
So
I think that's why
maybe
the
that's
dive kind of suffered too.
Yeah.
Tank was taking too much puck before he could actually engage. Kind of like our issue.
Yeah, but I think Mankumi also struggles with timing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, that's what I told him like the first map that he just goes too early.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was recently figuring out. Because after I saw Hammer and Rasa go like on a win streak, I was like, you know what? Let me play a couple ranked games and let me just focus on what the hell I think I'm doing wrong. It was just really just about being patient.
Mhm.
All
Like,
right, coach.
I
get
would
back
try
in.
I would try to shoot so much, but sometimes it's better to hide for a little bit, you know? Have downtime. Downtime for uptime. Wow. Mind
Oh,
blown.
interesting. They're playing the fire on this round.
They are playing
Yeah.
far up. Tracer low.
Within their comms.
All right, mid fight looking good. Wall can come out.
Actually,
gets
kinda
it?
like the Juno Ana. Oh, that's
That was a beautiful hook. Could have been followed up on. I don't hate the bar on this map. It's very open for her. However, she needs to get into it. Only 13% ult.
they punished that hazard.
They punish the hazard.
Really bullying him.
Which you'll love to see. Tracer, no re. That's going to be fight win by Rat Milkers. Everyone's out.
You know, I do like this backline of the Juno Ana just because like there's so much neutral opportunity. Playing with the hog, right? Just because you know you're gonna be able to hold space, it gives that freedom for your backline to just to try to make plays.
Absolutely. All right, a diva switch coming out. Doesn't want to play the hazard into this hog.
Not a fan of this Ana positioning.
No, Shay, again, a bit out of position. However,
She fixes it here.
yep, it does make the correction. We got to be marking this Tracer. This Tracer is lethal to this backline as there's no survivability. Hog basically playing by himself. I'm pretty sure the diva was just for the Pharah. Thinking that was the problem. Pharah needs to back up a little bit more.
Curious if they're communicating this rotation here. It seems like they're responding to it,
Mhm.
but I'd like to see my Ana keep backing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since Diva can jump onto it and Tracer looking at it. However, Cass has that Tracer locked down.
Yeah.
There's
She's
no
doing a good job of looking at her.
However, the risk of being on this high ground, there is no spotlight. Diva gets
Oh.
two.
With the Diva boosters.
Mm-hmm.
They're
That's
now even on environmentals.
Now even on environmentals. Shay, I think, gonna die. George needs to get out. I don't like the positioning on that high ground. Just not enough sightline for your supports to really make a play here. Trey looking for a pulse bomb. Could be doing something crazy here. Misses the pulse bomb on George. 3 ults coming
They're
up.
gonna give this space.
Absolutely. There's going to be a huge ult fight coming here. Hog has his. It's going to get eaten, though, a lot by the Diva ult. Good pull. Diva's there for to block it, however. Whole Hog comes
Once
out.
it puts her in, that's actually a great play.
Great play, actually. However, let's see if... How did George survive that? That's a thing you can do right there. This little ticket kiosk survives a nuclear blast. Orbital for the retake. Maybunk
Not a fan of where it's
In-
positioned.
fucking Narnia. Can't see where he
Yeah.
is. Could have used that for their ult. Re-engage into it. High Noon's getting shut down by that. That was a
Yeah,
beautiful
he was.
retake by Gummy Sharks. If you want to watch a play, that was a very good ebb and flow of how Overwatch is played.
Yeah.
M-Monk
We
might
would
die
like
here.
to see that orbital a lot, like pretty much at some point. They essentially did not fight with it.
Absolutely.
Kind of a waste.
Kind of a waste, but it was a good idea.
We're swapping to the Ana break here.
On a break. Maybe trying to survive that.
The Diva.
The Diva, yeah, but I don't think
And
the Diva was
Tracer.
too much of a problem. I think right now it's just Monk going in too far. He's out again.
Yeah.
You can't be down a DPS every fight and expect to win a match.
Shay with this lead.
Beautiful sleep by Shay. Shay needs to survive this backline. Another Diva bomb. George survives that. That's what you want to see. Hog making plenty of space. Gonna get burned though. Took way too much damage. Monk back. Has it. However, George gets eaten by a pulse bomb. I don't like where he was positioned. Justice is raining from above, but guess what? It's not moving. It's a stationary concept. Beautiful sleep by Shay. Again, she is hitting these where it's need be. Electric Cowboy out. Gets it with a flashbang, however, not before it kills Yana. That's the end of the fight for Gummy Sharks. What a round ender right here. I think, from my angle,
Go ahead.
at my angle right now, I'm thinking it's just too many people going forward too fast.
Yeah.
We saw it with Monk, and then we saw it with the Hog, and then for some reason, George went in again with it, gets pulse bombed. You can't be down characters in fights like that. It's crucial not to do that.
Yeah, I think there was some ultimate management as well. Like I said, even from the Orbital, I think we didn't get huge value out of at least one of those barrages, and then as well with the what was the other DPS?
High Noon. But
and then it was, yeah.
in the defense of the High Noon, you can't get too much focused if there's a Diva in your face eating it,
Yeah.
or if there's a break.
He ate everything. He wasn't able to get healed, and yeah, it was a tough situation for him. But
But you would love to see get more value out of that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe the break could have stood in front of him, got that boop off, but that's a
I'm
very
not sure we had swapped the
situational.
Brig at that point. Yeah.
So, going to our standard rush comp, Satoru made a name for himself on this queen. Let's see if they can pull this out. One thing I wanted to
this a lot
question
better.
is, because I don't know the perks on fire, but maybe you do, is the shield health and the moving barrage the same perk, or is there two different?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both minors.
So he took the shield one. What's the benefits of both? If you want to go down through that.
Well, I actually don't mind him taking the shields because he was off angling a lot by himself, so it helps him kind of stabilize on those angles. Obviously the moving one makes your ult actually semi decent, where I think barrage is usually kind of a mat ult, where it's like if you get the trade, you have to get it on a backline or a tank. Like it's never good enough to trade out yourself for a DPS.
All right. With that being said, 7 seconds on the board before we get started in the next fight. What is the one key concept you think Rat Milkers need approval on here?
I think we gotta make sure we're setting up our backline, particularly since we're playing the Ana and not the carry. It's really important that Shay plays her positioning so we can actually play these fights.
Okay,
If she dies, these fights kind of fall apart.
that was a very interesting setup. You normally never see teams going down low. Shay, however, breaks off, goes left, sitting with the Cowboy. Nade onto the Queen. However, I think survives that. No one's looking to take high ground, so Score can shoot for free. However, Cowboy v Cowboy,
nice.
Crispy takes that duel and wins it. Diva's out. Crispy gets another one. I should be paying attention to him as he deletes the Tracer.
Clear Diva.
Diva, last to be cleared, I think. I'm just going to jump off the map. That ends that. That was a beautiful fight. Would love to see a little more position, a little more taking this high ground.
Yeah.
But
it could have
otherwise,
gone dicey. It could have gone dicey with that cast up there, right? Sometimes he only needs a second or two to get something going. So
couldn't have said
you
it better.
don't even want to give him that chance.
Big swaps coming out for the enemy team, switching that Ana for a Kiriko and the tank for a Hazard. Wants to secure this high ground.
Picking it up.
Oh, never mind.
I'll
Gets on
swap the
Shay.
break.
I don't know why Shay's down here. Gets to sleep, however. I guess if you're in trouble that much, you get good at sleeping. Ooh, George dies.
We needed to burn this Hazard soon.
That Hazard had no health. Now let's see if Satoru and Shay can clutch it up. Just Satoru now.
Looks like he's crushing that cat.
And you would love you love that. That's great. They got the high noon out.
Yeah. He's gonna. I'm not sure if he has the perks. So he might get the 40% back.
They might get the 40%. No, they do not get the 40% back. 88%. George with the last touch. It's now
That's
59%
right.
to 4. Still 1-0 in favor of Gummy Sharks. No ults on the board coming up for them. However, high noon is coming up for Rat Milkers. Let's see how they use that. Ooh, they're going down again. That shot might have given the position away. You can do it once, you can do it twice. But let's see if they get
Not
caught
a fan
out.
of this shout for speeding to point.
Not either, especially when you have
Really?
a Lucio.
Yeah.
Ooh,
we need that defensive.
Lucio gets the
off
boost
on
of
our
Cass.
Looks like George's gonna go down too.
George's going down. I
Nano
would have.
this, even though we're down 3.
That's a
It's a
skeptical
double
nano. It is, but Shay's playing in a particularly bad situation. Queen
Yeah.
is most likely going to die here. There's no way she lives.
Yeah.
Not a fan of that nano.
Unfortunately, a bad nano, yeah. Especially with the double nano. I think with the nano, you want to play in a strong position, particularly high ground, so you can be aggressive with it.
Absolutely.
You gotta take advantage of it.
I'm not a fan of them constantly going down either.
Looks like they're swapping a main here.
Swap to main or going to the side room. Let's see. Luckily, the Gummy Sharks has not taken advantage of high ground. Throws it out. Gets it before the
I was worried about that
Scissor.
Tracer setup in the background hiding. She does manage to get the pulse and clean up the cast.
So let's see if Satoru Genji can clean this up. You can burn the hazard without taking too much damage.
They should be able
Tracer.
to clean this out,
Really,
but
It's
it
a-
doesn't seem like they're communicating their targets. Here.
it does not. It looks like 2 separate fights. Satoru needs to clean this up fast. Oh, yeah, this might just be it.
Yeah, we got 3 back on the part of Gummy Sharks here.
Oh, never mind. Wispy gets another one. Let's see if Wispy can pull that high
He
noon.
managed to catch him off guard.
Yep.
Good.
However, the fight's still
We gotta
not
push this
over.
Lucio. We gotta call our targets here.
Absolutely. There's
Not,
no
not good enough focus fire.
No, there's not. High noon coming out just a zone. However, I think it's a little too late.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Wispy
even have the
also
40%
doesn't even
perk.
have the 40. Yeah. Now, it's going to be beat for Blade here. It's going to be all on George here. Actually,
I think that's a particularly bad high noon because they were already getting zoned. The enemy. We didn't need to zone them.
especially without that refund cost.
Yeah.
All right, they're gonna go in first. Shay
Noon here.
gets it. Noon gets nothing. Beats coming out.
A lot of pressure on Anna here. They
Nether
managed to
beats
just-
out.
Just leave it.
Later beat, however, Genji could rip his blade at any time. Let's see if he does. This could win the
He's going
fight.
for it.
He goes for it, gets shut down. Satoru, however, takes the tank. That's a major piece off the board. Wispy gets the Lucio. This is just touch, and I think Rat Milkers get it off the
We have a
mistakes.
pulse bomb here.
Gets nothing. No Electric Cowboy left. Kiriko on the thing. I think they win it just by the mistakes of Gummy Shark.
Yeah.
GR.
Like, after shutting down the blade.
GR.
Should have had it. I think Shay is definitely out of position most times, but it can be excused with hitting that sleep. However, you do want that sleep after they use abilities, after they go in.
Yeah.
However, props on her for hitting the sleeps. So hitting some pretty good sleeps. However, do you want to talk about Monk? I want to say just Mon. Mun. But Monkuma? Monkumi?
I call him Mankumi, but I don't know.
I don't want to call him Kumi, so I'm going to say Monkumi.
Mankumi.
Monkumi, yeah. So Monkumi, the only real thing I would love to see is the blades not being whipped out at half health because they've been shut down several times.
I think the problem with that particular that last one was he was lingering on them already, taking poke by the time he ripped it. Right, like he hadn't set it up in a clean way. So I think if he wants to go for the blade, he needs to think about that.
Absolutely. I get he was waiting for the Lucio beat,
The
which he
beat,
did.
Yeah.
However, I think at that point it was maybe too late to rip the beat. Alright, we're switching off the Ana to a carry Lucio with a Hog. We're going to see this Hog set up again. Last time we saw Hog on this map, I think it was... Was it Hanbin who played Hog?
Yeah, that's right. No, Junbin.
Junbin who played Hog. Leading to, I think, Crazy Raccoon's victory.
Yeah, correct.
So let's see if Satoru, the EMEA player, can replicate Junbin's success. Crazy.
You don't
Only-
you mean the Asia player?
He is not an Asia player. He is an EMEA region. It is technically the Remember Me's brand only Saudi Arabia player. And only EMEA player.
I think this Lucio carry backline is a little curious, considering we're continuing to play the Hog here. I don't know if they want to play elusive regarding the Hazard, but we were managing kind of okay with the Lucio Ana.
Ooh. Makumi takes the Tracer duel and wins that.
Yeah.
I think the Hog is going to be a little more awkward until you win that fight
Putting
point.
some pressure on the Sojourn as well.
Ooh, Lucio
Get
might
the
be caught
Suzu
out. Will George get the one shot onto him? He doesn't. George doesn't get the beat either.
Get the carry though.
Makumi gets another one.
A lot of pressure on Shea here. She TP's.
She
and
TP's
it's
out.
to live.
What's going on
should be
over
able to
here?
clean up his Hazard.
We cleared up the Hazard. Tracer and Genji? No, Tracer and Lucio are the only ones here. George going after Lucio 1v1. What's
Forces recall, nice.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Doesn't get hit by a car. No deer in headlight situation here. And that's first point one. This sets up the Hog perfectly where the Hog wants to be.
We have a Malga swap here. Let's see how they deal with this.
Malga is a good counter to Hog, but can also be punished if not used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Genji with the deflect. Genji going low. Makumi gets out. George lingering for a little while. Wispy gets
Big
one.
2 on the rotate.
Absolutely, that was perfect. That's what you want to see your Hog do. Andrew Cass. Fire damage coming out. Ooh, he's gonna get the.
Oh,
That was
beautiful hook.
beautiful hook by him. Satoru really hitting these hooks good. It's gonna be a really difficult retake now. Coming in with
Really hitting the hookers.
really love the hookers in this chat. However, multiple ults coming up for Rat Milkers. They could very much put this away here soon, especially with the hook
other one.
into the Kiriko. You love
They're
to
playing
see that.
fast. We can look to focus this Malga here.
Malk getting burnt. Rush out.
Watch for the OC. We got an OC on here.
We do have an OC, but nothing's coming out right now. Just shots into Hog. Hog
We
needs to
take care
live.
of the Tracer on the angle there.
Malga dead. Malga gets killed, I'm pretty sure,
On
by
the
his
deflect.
teammate.
It might have been from the Sojourn.
Soldier might just put too many shots. Lucio's getting ganged up on. Came to the wrong neighborhood. Soldier's definitely going to
Getting
die.
into last fight territory here.
We are
With
heading
three ults
into-
on the side of Rat Milkers here.
Absolutely, and Rat Milkers have done it
Four.
almost perfectly with their alt management. This might be just
Makumi
last
pressing
fight.
the ball.
I love
Pushes him away.
Satoru holding this doorway. So the ball's the only one going to be touched. Beautiful OC.
Zoning with the noon. You might get a touch from the ball.
Let's see if he gets him. They're going to get the touch from the ball. Almost definitely. Wispy, however, dies. You don't want to see that. Blade at half.
health. We get the beat though.
We do get the beat. We do get one. We get two. Will we get the three-piece chicken McNugget?
beat.
Beat not canceled out. However, Genji is at one. Genji gets down. Makumi showing up for the first time this tonight. Gets another one. Can he get his ace off the sleeve? Just the ball.
Ready to close out.
So they need to close out. Wispy denying his teammate
Yeah,
the
we gotta
ace.
Close out by Makumi.
Absolutely. Makumi showing up.
TYFS.
And Rat Milkers secure the last match.
GGS.
Almost decisively, I would say.
Yeah, that was really good on that. And those last two.
All right, let's go see how the rest of them are doing after the match.